Hello, my name is Richard. This is Over and Over and Over Again, and you're watching the latest edition of Arsenal Oddities. So, what is Arsenal Oddities all about then? Well, it is a new series looking at some of the strange moments from Arsenal's long history. In this latest episode, we're going to look at the brief incarnation of a breakaway club formed by workers of the Royal Arsenal in 1893. This is the story of Royal Ordnance Factories FC. So in 1893 then, Royal Arsenal turned professional and joined the Football League, changing the name to Woolwich Arsenal. Now, there were a lot of amateur players that were still working at the Royal Arsenal that were missing their football team. So they decided to form a new club called Royal Ordnance Factories FC. Now, several of the amateurs who had played for Woolwich Arsenal decided to join this new breakaway club, including Peter Connolly, William George, John Marsden and Jimmy Megan. And they were later joined by Bobby Boost and William Stewart. Also, one of the founder members of Woolwich Arsenal back in 1886, David Danskin, also became an official and referee for the new club Royal Ordnance Factories FC. The team opted to play in an all-blue strip to differentiate themselves from the Woolwich Arsenal team, who of course were playing in red. And they initially played their home games at the Invicta ground in Plumstead, which was the original home of Royal Arsenal. They entered the FA Amateur Cup for the first time in 1893. And in their first match, they did beat New Brompton before finally losing to Reading in the fourth qualifying round. In 1894, the club joined the Southern League, and in their first season, they finished 7th out of 9, which meant they had to play in a playoff game to preserve their status in the league. They came out on top, beating Old St Stephen's 3-1. In 1895, the Royal Ordnance Factories FC arranged a friendly against their former club, Woolwich Arsenal. The match was played at their new home ground in Greenwich called Maze Hill, and the Royal Ordnance Factories FC came out on top 1-0, although the match was ended 15 minutes early due to the fading light. Of course, there were no floodlights in 1895. Later on that year, the new club became the first opponents for Thames Ironworks FC, who would later become West Ham United, and that game finished in a 1-1 draw. However, back in the Southern League, the struggles continued, and in 1896, Royal Ordnance Factories FC finished 9th out of 10 clubs, and again they had to play in a playoff to preserve their status. Although they did lose 4-2 to Sheffield United, they were able to keep their place in the Southern League, although it wouldn't last for much longer. By 1896, the club were suffering from financial problems, which wasn't helped by the death of one of their founder members, Peter Connolly, in 1895. And the club actually resigned from the Southern League 7 matches into the 1896-1897 season. They had lost all 7 matches at that point, conceding 46 goals. The last match the club officially played was in October 1896 away at Southampton St Mary's, played at their Antelope grounds, and Royal Ordnance Factories FC lost the game 10-0. Their record was expunged from the Southern League, and the club folded altogether later on that year. The name was briefly resurrected 20 years later when a club called Royal Ordnance Factories Woolwich played in the Kent League for 2 seasons just after World War I. A new club called Royal Ordnance Factories joined the London League in 1951 and stayed there until the league was disbanded in 1956. The club was elected back into the newly formed London League in 1963, and they finished 3rd in their first season, moving into the newly formed Greater London League in 1964. But very little is known about the club since then. So that is the story then of Royal Ordnance Factory FC, which was a breakaway club from Woolwich Arsenal when they turned professional in 1893. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Arsenal Oddities. If you did, please give it a like. Please consider subscribing to the channel as well. We'll be back very, very soon with another exciting edition of Arsenal Oddities. I wonder which moment from Arsenal's history we'll be featuring then. Stay tuned to find out. My name is Richard. This is Over and Over and Over Again. We will see you on the next one.